Honeybee Stamps is having a video hop, and I am here to share a super cute beach scene. Hi everyone, it's Joy here, and welcome to my channel. Okay, I'm going to be using the Beach Please stamp and coordinating die along with the Palm Beach stencil. I'm actually using one of the little stencils for one part. I want to use, there's 6 stencils in the Palm Beach stencil set that coordinates with a kind of a die, but it kind of embosses. I'm not using that part. I'm going to use one stencil that has the ocean to it. I wanted to add ocean to the bottom of my card, and this was perfect, and it has a little bit of an edge, and it's going to look a little funky at first, but I will show you how we are going to solve that. Then you can see that beautiful, those 2 palm trees with the chairs and the lights. That's the image we're going to put here. So let me just start by creating our background. Let's add some salvaged patina to our ocean here, this little bottom part, and it fits perfectly with your A2 sized in the landscape mode here. So I'm going to ink that up, but you can see it has those funny little edges because there's other stencils that go with that. I am going to add some low tack tape. This is mint tape. I'm just roughly adding it to the edges. It does not need to be perfect because we will be covering up this edge, but we're going to do some more ink blending to create our background, and I don't want to accidentally ink blend my ocean and have to start over. So I'm just taping around the edges here, and then we can get to ink blending our sand and then our sky. We're going to do a sunset look here, and I will be using squeezed lemonade, spun sugar, and picked raspberry for this sunset. So I'm going to tape off about how much sand I want to have. This is going to have a nice kind of sharp edge. If you don't like that, you don't have to tape off your edge here. You could just lightly ink blend, and then it can just gradually go up into the sky. So I'm using antique linen, and then I'm also going to be using a little bit of walnut stain at the bottom because I want it to look like the sand is darker because it's wet, because the water has, you know, the waves have come up onto the beach. I thought I was going to use this little ink blender to add it. I didn't. I just went with a bigger brush and ink blended just lightly across the bottom to give it that darker look. Once I'm done with this, we can remove the tape off of the top there. I'm going to cover up my sand, and I'm going to start working on the background. We will start with the squeezed lemonade, then spun sugar, and then picked raspberry. I love sunsets. I love beachy sunsets, but I did look online just for different ones because I do tend to add orange in mine a lot, and I didn't want to do that this time. So this is just a yellow and pink. So I'm using the spun sugar next to the squeezed lemonade, and I'm really not letting them blend. I really don't want orange. It may have blended a little bit on the sides, but I'm keeping it separate because I do want this separate look. So I'm going to add this a little bit darker here, up more towards the center, and then when I add the picked raspberry, I will do it across the top, but more down the side. So the center is a little bit lighter and this top and edges are darker. So let's get those blended. And this is a video hop and giveaway. So definitely comment below, subscribe, do that with everybody's channel, hop along, because I believe that Honeybee Stamps is giving away 2 $50 gift cards, but the directions for what you need to do are listed down in the description, along with all of the products that I use. Those are listed and linked for you as well. So I'm going to finish ink blending that, and then we have this beautiful sunset. Let me finish off this little edge here, and then I can peel back that tape and look at that. Now let's cover up this funky little edge. So I'm going to come in and sprinkle on this is textured white embossing powder, and this is from Lawn Fawn, so it's a little bit thicker, a little bit chunkier. So I'm going to lay it on the edge there, and then I'm going to use this paintbrush to kind of push it up and give it more shape to follow along that beachy edge. Again, the stencil kind of had harsher shapes because rocks are supposed to sit in there and fit in there. I just made it flow a little bit more to where it looked a little bit more like an ocean wave coming up onto the sand. I am moving, trying to carefully move, and I did move that a lot. I'm brushing off the excess little pieces, and then I'm going to take off some of this extra here, and I'm making that more of a fine line, a defined edge for the water, but I think it turned out really, really cute. So this is dry. There is no embossing ink underneath, so it will just fly right off, so don't blow it. Don't breathe on it. And when you take your heat gun to it, you're only going to heat from the bottom until it's melted. Otherwise, it'll just blow it off of your cardstock. But look at how beautiful that looks. I love how this background turned out. It's so fun. Once it's dry or once it's heated, I do run my gun across the top really quick, but then, you know, then it's all done. Okay, let's stamp our cute image from the Beach Please stamp set. Again, this has 2 palm trees and 2 chairs, and you have lights strung between, and I just could imagine myself sitting here. I'm going to ink this up with Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink on Neenah cardstock using my Misty. I decided that to color the sand underneath the chairs, I'm going to use the antique linen and the walnut stain because I want that to match my background. The rest of the images I'm going to be coloring with Olo markers. So I squished the ink on my work surface, spritzed it with a tiny bit of water, and then I'm just painting it on with a paintbrush. But this blended in seamlessly to the sand in the background. I just knew that my Olo markers, it wasn't going to match, and that, not that it's the end of the world, but it was going to bug me. So I'm going to add a little bit of this walnut stain in some of the darker areas underneath the chair, underneath the rocks, giving them a little bit of shadow. And then that part is done. So you'll be able to see the caps to my Olo markers here. I'm starting with a dark green. I'm going to just follow that veining of the palm leaves. And then I'll go with the medium color, kind of blend over that, going down the center as well. And then I'll come in with a lighter color and blend over that one more time. Nothing fancy here, but it does give you some darker and lighter areas. And once I blend everything, I do always come back at least with the darker marker. That's what I did this time. I didn't need to reblend everything again, but I did come back with the darker one and added that to the center. But here's that lightest color. I'm blending over all of it. I love the flow of these palm trees. I think they look so pretty. I would love to have a palm tree in my backyard. It's too cold where we live. Where I grew up, we had palm trees in our yards, and I loved it. But not where I live now. It just tends to get too cold in the winter for a palm tree. So I'm coming back in with that darker, adding some more of that dark at the base of those, and you can see the difference between the two, and it looks so much better. Then of course we have some browns. I do show you the browns that I originally used for the trunk of the palm trees, but I do change that at the end because I use the same browns but in the lighter colors for the chairs, and it was just too similar, so I had to change up a little bit of that brown. But I'm using a dark and a medium color for that. Then I'm going to use a gray brown for the rocks here. I'm adding the darker color at the bottom of the rocks where it would naturally be darker, and then medium and then light at the top. And I think it turned out super nice. And then I decided to go with brown chairs. Those other colors I have tested at the top of my paper. I was looking at blues and turquoise and all those things, but I just thought it needs to be simple. So I'm going to do them in a lighter brown, but this is where I'm like, I need to change up the palm tree. So I did grab two different browns, a darker and a medium color, and just went over that other brown, and it worked just fine. It's just different enough that it worked for me. But look at how cute this is. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Let me grab the other colors here. Oh, no, I did use that light green just to trace over the greenery in the background. I didn't want to leave those uncolored, and little pieces of grass here and there. I think it made a huge difference on the background. So here's that other browns that I'm using, and it does change it up quite nicely. I even added it to the center where all the little palm fronds are at the base of the palm tree there. And then I colored the lights in a yellow because I almost forgot. And then I colored outside of the lines to give them a little bit of a glow. So if you see me doing that, it was on purpose. I'm going to use the coordinating die to die cut out this awesome image. I love that it comes in this nice size die. And then I'm going to pop this up with some foam adhesive. I'm using 2mm foam adhesive strips from scrapbook.com for this portion of it. And I'm going to use a different size for the sentiment because they have different sizes of this, 3 different sizes, and it makes for a lot of dimensional fun. And you guys know I love dimension. Look at how great that is. Okay, I decided I needed to do some splatter, so I'm using Honeybee Stamps Be Shimmery watercolor splatter all over the background. I love this stuff, and it is going to give it a shimmer and shine. I wanted to do this before I put my sentiment on because I kind of want it on everything. I feel like it's just at this beautiful time of day, and you just have all this glittery goodness. Okay, let's stamp our sentiment, and it's going to say, "Sending high tides and good vibes," and I'm inking that up with the Salvaged Patina Distress Oxide ink and using the coordinating die. This sentiment comes in that Beach Please stamp set. So for this sentiment, I'm using 1mm foam adhesive, so it'll be a little further back. It won't be as prominent, but it still will have some dimension. I'm going to pop that in place, and then this will be adhered to a white A2 size card base. Remember to comment below so you guys can be entered, and make sure you subscribe. And thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching and for hopping along. I hope that you feel inspired by this project, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.